Okay. Hi everyone, I'm Hatif Sattar. I'm a second year in Master's in Computer Engineering program.
Hi, I'm Yasser. I'm also doing my second year of Master's Engineering in Computer Engineering.
My name is Assad. I'm doing my Master's in Education at OISE. I'm also a medical resident specializing in anesthesia with an interest in critical care. So based on that, what I've noticed in the hospital is when critically ill patients get better and get sent to the ward, they don't get monitored as frequently, so you can get missed signs of deterioration. Furthermore, to actually get this information, you have to go to the bedside, and that's pretty inconvenient. And the actual communication we do is still on the pager system, which is kind of archaic and not that convenient to use either. So what we know from the literature is that survival after having the worst type of critical event in the hospital, which is cardiac arrest, is only 15 to 20%. But the survival actually increases if the cardiac arrest is witnessed. Furthermore, we know that vital signs can predict this deterioration several hours in advance of it actually happening. So the phrase that we want to target is this concept of an unwitnessed cardiac arrest. We don't think these events should ever be unwitnessed, and we think we can decrease the rate of them actually happening. And we want to do this with our app MoniToddler by providing continuous real-time data access to healthcare providers so that they can access this information anytime, anywhere, and be notified if there's any deterioration or changes, and have the opportunity to have immediate communication amongst healthcare providers.
So the overall design consists of three main sections. Basically, the first section is adding a new patient, so you can add a profile. It gets uploaded to the server. Second section is view all patients, so you can go and look at the list of all the patients. You can select a patient, and it will show you all the details of the vitals, the warnings, notes related to the patient. And the last one is the transmit or monitor, so you become the host. You connect to the Bluetooth devices. You collect the data, you parse the sensors, and in the sensor analysis, you determine the vitals, you determine warnings, you can add notes there, and you upload it to the server. So basically that's our design, and we can move on to the demo now.
So for the demo, I'm going to be the ICU doctor, pediatric ICU doctor. Baby Yasser and baby Hatif are back with us. Unfortunately, they've gotten better again. So we're sending them to the ward. So baby Yasser we're going to follow for his breathing, and baby Hatif we're going to follow for his heart rate. So we're going to add them to our list so we can go to add patient. We've already done it before, so we'll just go to our view patient where it's populated, and we can see that our entire list of patients that we want to follow is there. We want to know if something bad happens, so we want to enable notifications and then go and enable these notifications for both of our patients, so Yasser and Hatif. And then we can ask the nurses to actually connect our patients to the MoniToddler app.
Right, so I'm going to be acting as a nurse and a patient. So I've attached the sensor tag to the patient where it should be. I can also go and update the parameters. You'll see on that screen over there. You will be able to, there we go. So you'll be able to set the heart rate limits. So what is normal for that patient? We can customize it for each patient, but for now we're going to leave it default. I'm going to go to the transmit page, and I will select my name. It will update soon. And I will select my name. I will connect. And you'll be able to see soon that we are transmitting the data. And it should be showing up at any moment. So it's a lot faster on the live. Yes.
So I'm responsible for heart rate monitoring of Hatif. So my screen is not projected. So I just go and do the same thing. So I connect the heart rate monitor to Hatif. I collect scan as I start transmitting.
Great, so let's fast forward 1 hour. So now I'm somewhere else in the hospital checking on another patient. And while I'm doing this, I want to check in on how Yasser is doing. So I can have a little summary page here, but then I can click on Yasser's name, and I get his real-time respiratory rate, which is 12 right now. And I can actually see his pattern of his respiratory pattern at the bottom there. It's just a little bit slower than it is in real time, but it gives you the actual flow of the breathing as well. The next thing I can do is actually look at our information here in the additional vitals and notice that nothing's been updated for a while. So I can go to the add section and actually put a note here and say update, so that anyone who's following Yasser will get the notification saying that I've asked for an update of the vital signs. And I can save that, and that gets sent to whoever is registered for that patient.
So let's say I'm the nurse close by to Yasser, and I receive a notification on my device that the doctor needs an update. So I go and go to a similar page where Asad posted. So I update, say temperature, and I add a note, say, okay, I'm done. And I write my name, nurse, and I should upload.
So we're just putting in the information there, and
You should have the
uploading.
Yeah, it's just a little bit slower, but we'll get to it in a second. So essentially what you'll see is all that information be updated in real time. You'll get a note from Hotif at the bottom saying that it's been updated, and you'll get a timestamp saying that the last update was at a certain time. So you can always know when the last update of the information was, which is great. Okay, so now we're going to ask Yasser to stop breathing so we can see what happens when a critical event occurs. But in the meantime, we can check in on Hotif to see how he's doing as well. So that's our notification saying that the nurse put in the information, done, and we can go back and check that note in a minute. But in the meantime, we can look at Hotif's heart rate, which is pretty high right now, but it's within normal limits, so 136. If you want to get further details, we can click on his name. He's not attached to a respiratory monitor. But while we're doing all of this, we got another notification there, and it says emergency, patient Yasser is critical. So I want to see what that's all about. And I can see here in red, it says critical yes next to Yasser, and now the breathing rate is 0 all of a sudden. So wherever I am, I can drop what I'm doing and run over to Yasser and see that he's not breathing at all. And I can resuscitate him from a respiratory perspective and get him to start breathing again. And now you can see on Yasser's screen that it'll start moving soon, and it's going to start detecting the respiratory rate and then update the rest rate for me in real time as well. And then once that gets fixed, you get a critical notification that changes back to no, and we know that he's much better.
Basically collects the heart rate for the rest rate for a few seconds to determine the rate, and then it will update the server.
And if we go back in, we can actually see how his temperature was updated and the last timestamp is there with the nurse saying done as well. And he's healthy again because he started breathing. And the last thing we can do, so now everything's better, we've saved Yasser's life, and we notice that Assad is still there, and he's actually gone from the hospital, so we'll just remove him from the list here, so remove. So we get a nice clean list after it updates. And it's just the patients that are in the hospital that we want to follow. And that's the end of our demonstration.
For our demo. All right, so one of the key learnings that we did well was that we had a centralized communication place. So we had basically in WhatsApp and Gmail accounts so that we could share APKs. We wouldn't have to be in the same place at the same time. One bad thing we did was that we planned around the sensor device instead of planning around the actual solution to the problem. Future work, we can expand which vital signs we can get and what to, and we can also use trend-based prediction algorithms so we can store within a few hours what the patient's rate has been, heart rate and everything, and also we'll work on security.
So thank you for sharing with us in this MoniToddler experience. It's been great. Thanks.
It's great. It's lots of functionality, lots of stuff that should be in a hospital, it seems.
Yeah.
What did you mean by you planned around the sensor tag as opposed to
So
what should you have done?
basically, so what we got the sensor tag first. So we're like, okay, what can we do with the sensor tag instead of focusing on the problem, which is what we can use to actually find the best like blood pressure or temperature, something that would actually be very useful, more useful than just acquiring the sensor tag.
Because there's people out there that have done a lot of these vital signs already, and we tried to recreate it.
Like the ticker, which we found a little later on in our project. So that helped us a lot.
Cool. Yeah.
So when you got that notification that one of the patients was critical, and then you went to go attend to that, how many people are monitoring that sort of display? Meaning, like, it's possible that like 5 people are going to go up to this room now, and then everyone's sort of essentially, it's like an interchange time.
Yeah, definitely. Great question. So that's why we have the enable notification function. So you can enable notifications for whichever patients you want to be notified about. So the nurse taking care of that patient or the doctor taking care of that patient can enable for that patient, and then they both get the notifications when something happens. But if you're not enabled, then you don't get it.
And there's also the notes functionality, so you can say, oh, I'm on my way. And then everyone will get the notification. And they can.
Is there a notification that no one's following?
That's
That would be a good one. Like,
That's a good one. Yeah.
Who would you notify?
Yeah.
I guess,
Who would you notify?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I would think about it. Great. Okay, the timing for this worked well. Let's thank these folks.
Thank you.